Borthakur IAS Academy, an endeavor of excellence.
Borthakur IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Borthakur IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. Today is 6th of July and I'm here with another segment of Current Affairs 365, your one-stop solution for any news and updates related to civil services examination, and along with that it is also going to help you for any other Assam state government services. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. The first news for the day is about the Nipun Bharat mission. Ministry of Education has launched the National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy Nipun scheme, Nipun Bharat scheme, okay, and it aims to cover the learning needs of the children in the age group of 3 to 9 years. This initiative is being launched as a part of the National Education Policy of 2020. And this policy aims to pave the way for transformational reforms in the school and higher education systems of our country. NEP 2020 has replaced the 34-year-old National Policy on Education of the year 1986. The main objective of this scheme is to create an enabling environment to ensure universal acquisition of foundational literacy and numeracy so that each child achieves the desired learning competence in reading, writing and numeracy by the end of their grade 3. And this is expected to occur by the year 2026-27. Here, the major focus area will be on retaining children in their foundational years of schooling, then teacher capacity building, development of high quality and diversified student and teacher resources as well as learning materials, and along with that it will also focus on tracking the progress of each child in achieving learning outcomes. Nipun Bharat scheme will be implemented by the Department of School Education and Literacy, and a 5-tier implementation mechanism will be set up at the national, state, district, block and school level. So these 5-tier includes, I'll repeat once again, national, state, district, block and school level, and this is going to be done in all the states as well as union territories. It will be done under the aegis of the centrally sponsored scheme of Samagra Shiksha. Now, Samagra Shiksha program, it was launched subsuming 3 existing schemes, which are the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan and the Teacher Education. The main aim of this scheme is to treat school education holistically from preschool to class 12. Along with that, a special package for foundational literacy and numeracy (FLN) under Nishtha is being developed by the NCERT. Now, Nishtha, it stands for National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Advancement. Okay, it is a capacity building program for improving quality of school education through integrated teacher training. Under this particular scheme, around 25 lakh teachers teaching at pre-primary to primary grade will be trained for this particular year. And several outcomes are expected from this scheme. Okay, first is being the reduction of dropouts and improved transition rate from primary to upper primary and secondary stages. Then it also aims at improving the quality of education through an activity-based learning, which will provide a conducive learning environment. It will also include innovative pedagogies such as toy-based and experimental learning process, okay, which will be used in the classrooms, thereby making learning a joyful and engaging experience for the students. And since almost every child, they attend early grades, therefore the main focus at that stage will benefit the socio-economic disadvantageous group, which will ensure access to equitable and inclusive quality education for all those who have joined school. Okay, so these are the major outcomes that are expected. Now, coming to the education system in India, first of all, let us have a look at the constitutional provisions. Part 4 of Indian Constitution, which is the Article 45 and 39F of the DPSP, that is Directive Principles of State Policy. It has provision for state-funded as well as equitable and accessible education. The 42nd Amendment of the Constitution of 1976 moved education from state to the concurrent list. Okay, education policies by central government, it will provide a broad direction, and state governments are expected to follow the same. Next, let us have a look at the related laws. It is the Right to Education Act of 2009, which aims to provide primary education to all children aged between 6 to 14 years and enforces education as a fundamental right. This act, it also mandates non-minority private unaided schools to keep aside at least 25% of their entry-level seats for children belonging to the disadvantaged section. This is done in order to create a more integrated and inclusive schooling system. Some government initiatives includes Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Midday Meal Scheme, then the Navodaya Vidyalayas, Kendriya Vidyalayas, and the use of IT in education. All these are a result of the National Policy on Education of the year 1986. The second news is related to science and technology. It is about fly ash. Okay, the National Thermal Power Corporation Limited has invited expression of interest for sale of fly ash. In its endeavor, it is going to achieve 100% utilization of fly ash from the designated plants of the Middle East and other regions. Now, fly ash, we all know that it is a byproduct from burning of coal in the thermal power generation, and it is called so because it is being transported from the combustion chamber by the exhaust gases. And this fly ash is collected from the exhaust gases by electrostatic precipitators or bag filters. An electrostatic precipitator is a filtration device, okay, which is used to remove fine particles from smoke from dust from the flowing gas. And these electrostatic precipitators, they are most commonly used for air pollution control. If we have a look at the composition of fly ash, then we can see that it has some substantial amounts of oxides like aluminium oxide, ferric oxide, calcium oxide, as well as silicon dioxide. This fly ash, it resembles Portland cement, but it is chemically different, okay, and because of that, it exhibits some cementitious properties. A cementitious material is one that hardens when it is mixed with water, and it is mainly used in concrete and cement products, then road base, metal recovery, and mineral filler, among others. So these are the major uses of fly ash. However, this fly ash, we all know that it has some harmful effects because these particles are toxic air pollutants. They can trigger diseases related to heart, respiratory problems, okay, stroke, as well as cancer. And when they are combined with water, they cause leaching of heavy metals in the groundwater. Along with that, it also pollutes soil and affects the root development system of the trees. Now we will see how NTPC is thinking of utilizing the fly ash. It has collaborated with the cement manufacturers around the country to supply fly ash, and then NTPC is going to promote the use of fly ash bricks in building construction, and because of that, it has set up fly ash brick manufacturing plants at its coal-based thermal power plants. And these bricks are being utilized in plants as well as township construction activities exclusively. During the year of 2020 and 21, almost 15 NTPC stations have supplied fly ash to various road projects, and ash utilization crossed by nearly 20 million tons. And over the last 5 years also, the fly ash utilization in our country has grown up. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban has focused on new construction technologies like using fly ash bricks that are way more innovative and also environment friendly. And Maharashtra was the first state to adopt some policies related to fly ash utilization. Along with that, we can also make a mention of the mobile-based app AshTrack, which has been launched by government. Okay. Along with that, a web portal for monitoring fly ash generation and utilization was also developed. And GST rates of fly ash and its products have been reduced to 5%. We all know that NTPC is a central public sector undertaking, okay, PSU, under the Ministry of Power. It is India's largest power generating company, and it became a Maharatna company in the year 2010. The main aim of NTPC Limited is to provide reliable power and related solutions in an economical, efficient, and environment friendly manner, which will be driven by innovation and agility. The third news is about the report on United Information System for Education Plus for the year 2019-20. It is one of the largest management information system on school education, which was launched in 2018-19. It was launched to speed up the data entry, reduce errors, improve data quality, and ease its verification process. Okay, so this application is mainly used to collect the school details about factors related to school and its resources. This United Information System for Education Plus is actually an updated and improved version of the United Information System for Education, which was initiated in the year 2012-13 by the Ministry of Education. This initiation, it helps measure the education parameters from classes 1 to 12 in government and private schools across the country. Now we will see the key points which were discussed and highlighted in this report. First is about the total number of students. It has increased at all the levels, starting from pre-primary to higher secondary in 2019-20 as compared to the year 2018-19. Then this report discussed about the gross enrollment ratio, which is the number of students enrolled in a given level of education regardless of age, and it is expressed as a percentage of the official school age population. So this gross enrollment ratio has also improved in 2019-20 compared to 18-19. Then there was improvement in the pupil-teacher ratio at all the levels of school education. Then the Divyang students have also enrolled way more than compared to 2018-19. There is an increase in by around 6.52%. This percentage value is not that important, but enrollment of Divyang students improved, okay, as compared to the last year. The number of girl students also went higher from primary to higher secondary. And the gender parity index, which is actually the number of girl students compared to the number of boys at all the levels, okay, that increased at both secondary and higher secondary levels. So the gender parity index in primary, secondary and tertiary education is the ratio of number of female students enrolled at all the level to the number of male students in each level. And improvement of GPI has been most pronounced specifically in the higher secondary level. Then this report also highlighted the facilities which are available at schools currently, okay, and how they have improved over the year. First factor was electricity. More than 80% of schools in India in 2019-20 had functional electricity, and this is an improvement of more than 6% over the previous year. Then the number of computers, functional computers and internet facilities, it also increased. And the hand wash facility, more than 90% of schools in India now have better hand wash facilities, and 82% of schools have conducted medical checkups for the students in the year 2019-20. So these are the facilities which are available at school, and they have improved considerably when compared to the year 2018-19. There are some other important government initiatives also that are related to upliftment of school education in our country. If we have to name some, then it will include the new National Education Policy of 2020, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Midday Meal Scheme, Right to Education Act of 2009, and also the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao mission. The next news is related to international relations. It is about India joining the G20 Inclusive Framework Tax Deal. So India and a majority of the members of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, have joined a new two-pillar plan to reform the international taxation rules. Okay, this two-pillar plan will be Inclusive Framework Tax Deal, which is based on base erosion and profit shifting. It seeks to reform the international tax rules. So first of all, let us have a look at what is this BEPS, or base erosion and profit shifting. It is a term which is used to describe the tax planning strategies that exploit mismatches and gaps that exist between the tax rules of different jurisdictions. And this shifting is done to minimize the corporation taxes that is payable overall, and by either making tax profits disappear or shift profits to low tax jurisdictions where there is little or no genuine activity. In general, the BEPS strategizes are not illegal. Rather, they take advantage of different tax rules operating in different jurisdictions. So this is of major significance for the developing countries due to their heavy reliance on corporate income tax, particularly from the multinational enterprises. OECD, we all know it is an intergovernmental economic organization, right, which is founded to stimulate the economic progress and world trade. Most of the members are high-income economies and are regarded as developed countries. G20 countries are the, G20 group, it is the leading international forum for economic, financial and political cooperation of large economies. India is a member of G20, but not a member, but a key partner of the OECD. Okay. So now let us have a look at this particular tax deal. We will see the significance of this deal. Okay. First of all, we'll look at the structure of the two-pillar plan. Then we will see the significance of this particular deal, and then lastly we will see India's stand on this particular deal all over. So first, coming to the two-pillar plan, Pillar 1 will ensure a fairer distribution of profits and taxing rights among countries with respect to the largest multinational enterprises, including digital economies. Okay. And it would also relocate some taxing rights over the multinational enterprises from their home countries to the markets where they have business activities and they earn profits. Pillar 2 is about the minimum tax and subject to tax rules. It will seek to put a minimum standard tax rate among countries through a global minimum corporate tax rate. It is currently proposed at 15%, and this is expected to generate an additional $150 billion US dollar in tax revenues. Now, how this particular deal is going to be significant? This deal will ensure that large multinational companies pay their fair share of tax everywhere, and the two-pillar package will improve the much needed support to the governments that is needed to raise the necessary revenues to repair their budgets and their balance sheets. This is also going to provide support in investing in the essential public services, infrastructure and the measures which are necessary to help optimize the strength and quality of the post-COVID recovery. So this is how this tax deal is going to help the global economy. Now coming to India's stand, okay, India will have to roll back the equalization levy that it imposes on companies like Google, Amazon and Facebook when the global tax regime is implemented. This equalization levy, it aimed at taxing foreign companies which have a significant local client base in our country, but they are billing them through their offshore units. This is done in order to escape the country's tax system. So India favors a wider application of the law in order to ensure that country won't collect less under the proposed framework than it gets through the equalization levy. India is also in favor of a consensus solution which is simple to implement and simple to comply with. Moreover, this two-pillar plan, it justifies India's stand for a greater share of profit for the markets and its consideration of demand side factors in the profit allocation. And with this, we have come to an end of today's session. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you all again tomorrow with another session of Current Affairs 365 only on Borthakur IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. Till then, take care, keep learning. Bye-bye.
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS Academy প্ৰস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS Academy